affect these changes, and at least we may not walk out of it totally unscathed, but we can affect it enough to at least lessen the blow. And that is the goal here in sharing the information, in talking about it, in bringing unity to people. And, of course, the unity issue is something that I've talked about in the book, I talked about for the last 2.5 years, and now people are really, in the last, I would say, year, really moving towards that. And, of course, many of the indigenous tribes have been bringing that message forward for the last couple of years. And this year, there's been even more of an emphasis with anyone that's had connections to indigenous people around the earth. Those people are now carrying messages basically in some, whether directly or indirectly on their behalf, out to the public saying it is time for us to come together in order to lessen the blow for what's coming. So before this transformation of the consciousness takes place, we must first deal with what it is that we're having physically. Consciousness cannot evolve unless we accept that we can take responsibility, and that is part of the consciousness transition, is to accept the responsibility that we have this power to make physical changes to our surroundings through our thought process and through the acceptance of our power and coming forward and speaking with those in our direct surroundings in a very gentle way to start with, so that we can get that flow of energy out there.
Okay, Miriam, I'm sorry to interrupt you. We're going to go to a short break here, and we'll be right back. Thank you so much, and this is great. Okay, this is Carrie Cassidy, Project Camelot, and we've got Whistleblower Radio. We're on the air right now with Miriam Delicado. Okay, Miriam, I'm sorry we had to interrupt you there when you're right in midstream, and if there was any thought that you wanted to complete, let's do that first, and then I have a couple questions to run by you real quick.
No, I think that we can probably move on to the questions from the callers. Absolutely.
Okay. So a question here we have is a person is asking if you are feeling or seeing anything about volcanic activity in Iceland.
I am not picking up on a specific spot on the planet at this particular moment. What I can tell you is that I've had information come to me from a couple of different sources, and one of them was, of course, was about a very large volcano down in South America in the Chile region, which apparently 4 days prior to the earthquake did in fact have some very large movement in it, and they were very concerned about it because it's one of the largest volcanoes on Earth. Other than that, I am not seeing any direct vision to any specific area on the Earth. However, if I do, I most certainly will be sharing that.
Right, and I do want to say here that I also have dream visions myself, and I wanted to say that not that long ago, maybe 2 months ago, I did get a very graphic vision of a major earthquake in LA. And it was actually like on the scale of a movie. You would see in a movie, I have to say. So that was very clear to me. It doesn't appear that I'm going to be in that quake. However, and I can't give a timeline. That's the most difficult thing. But I did want to throw that out there. And I do live 40 miles from LA, so it was pertinent. However, I believe that either I'm going to be far enough away at the point when it happens, or I am going to be on the edge of it, so to speak. Anyway, so that's just a note. I have another question here that's coming in asking if, with everything that's happening, and this is kind of a funny question, should I still pay my income tax? Actually, I was wondering that myself this year. No. But what I'm gonna say in respect to that is that my instructions from the Tall Blue Lawns were always to, and I've actually never shared this before, is always to follow the law of the land. And the reason that you need to do that is because we need to follow the laws of the land so that we can continue to do the work that we need to do. So yes, pay your taxes. And as soon as everybody else starts paying their taxes, then you need to make a decision on your own. But I would never myself tell anyone to do something that is not going according to the laws of the land at the time, because that was not the instructions given to me by the Tall Blondes. So there you go, Carrie. Okay, well, I have to say that civil disobedience is always a good thing, provided the principles are solid. We do have John Waterman. I mean, this is actually getting rather pertinent here, coming on after you, and he is in contact with the militia movement here in the United States. And in a sense, I'm sure there are militias basically everywhere around the world. And that's a really interesting sort of side to what's going on. In other words, there are groups out there that want to make sure that things like the Constitution, the primary law of the land, is honored. And what happens now is that you get banks and corporations violating the law of the land themselves.